and welcome. My name is I'm an assistant professor of dance at the University of South Carolina in the Department of Theater and Dance. And today's topic is preliminary strength training protocols designed to meet the needs, make me, in quotes, a better dancer. All right, so we're gonna start on the floor. So here we are on the floor. It's very nice, it's very comfortable. And you know, we could just lay here, but I think when we engage in particularly the quadruped, prone, and supine positions, we want to really think of bracing this core. And an easy way to access that sensation is, well, you could imagine that, let's say someone is going to drop a coconut from the ceiling, and I want my core to support that fall. An easy way to get into it is just to give yourself a firm tap on the stomach, and your body will instinctively create that compression for you. So, I brace, all right, and I'm ready to start the first exercise, which is the neural glides. So, one leg is extended, I'm bracing, and I'm just gonna flex the foot, extend the leg, as much as here, I'm not particularly warm, so I feel a gentle stretch, and I back off, and then I get into it, I'm off, into it, I'm still bracing, extend to flex, and out. So I don't want to think of going to my maximum stretch, I'm just trying to think of this as gently elongating a rubber band, and, you know, creating some gentle length back here, and I'm firing up the quads because we're going to do about 20 to 30 of those, and you'll feel the legs really starting to activate through the length and through the contraction. All right, you've done 20 to 30 on the right, 20 to 30 on the left, and now we're going to go into hip lifts, really standard hip lifts, but we're going to add just a little something. So again, I brace. Now I'm going to engage my lats, so I'm depressing the shoulders and pressing them slightly back. All right. So I'm going to lift, and now I'm going to squeeze the glutes and then come down. So I'm up, squeeze, and when I say squeeze, I don't mean squeeze with your hands. I mean squeeze the glutes by contracting them and lower. So we go up, contract, and lower, up, contract, and lower. Again, you're going to do about 20 to 30 of those till you just feel the glutes starting to get fired up and warm. Okay, now we'll flip over. And so here we are, we're prone. I'm going to really think of lengthening my legs to the back. I'm lengthening them, giving them a gentle press into the floor. I'm squeezing the glutes, and I'm bracing in the core. Now I'm reaching the body. So my hands are reaching away from my legs, and I'm lifting them by my ears. Now my nose is just off the floor slightly, so maybe I could slide a piece of paper underneath there. Hopefully not get a paper cut. So here I am, arms by the ears. Now, I'm gonna reach the elbows forward, extend the arms again. Now I'm gonna go all the way back, bring the hands behind. I'm going to bring the elbows down, bring the elbows up, extend the arms, and that's one. Okay, now I'll flip back over, and it's time for the dead bugs. I'm a big fan of the dead bugs. I think you can't do too many of these. So I'm on the floor, I've braced, and my lower back is firmly into the ground. That's really key when we're doing the dead bugs. Really keep that lower back down. All right, and I'm gonna extend the opposite arm and leg and come up, extend the opposite arm and leg and come up. So, here we are in the quadruped position. And the first movement is I'm gonna bring my forearms to the floor, and I want a long spine and my elbows close to my knees. Now, I'm going to imagine that I'm a hamster in a paper towel tube, and for whatever reason, this hamster needs to cultivate thoracic rotation and mobility. All right, So I'm gonna bring my hand behind my head. Now, I'm not gonna press down, right? It's just resting back there, no pressure. All right, now, I am gonna press in the opposite arm. So I'm gonna press that arm down, and I'm gonna rotate, and return, and rotate. Now the whole thing with the hamster and the tube is I don't wanna let the body come up, right? So we're not saying, look at all my rotation. No, we're keeping the hips level by keeping our torso level, and then we're just rotating. So that's thoracic rotation. And it's time for the bird dogs. So, bird dogs, I just extend. Now, as you know, when we're working in the quadruped position, it's really tempting to release the shoulder blades, right? So I want to think of protracting and depressing, and you know, some inward rotation of the elbows, while thinking of the lats engaging, really helps with that. So I'm engaged, and I'm going to go out. I'm going to bend, and so I'm trying to reach that elbow forward, lift that leg up as much as I can, and rotate, and then I'm going to extend, and I'm down. So, extend, reaching, extend again, and down. So there's your bird dogs. Now, we're going to go into hip cars, or controlled articular rotations. So, from here, knee flexion, external rotation with abduction, internal rotation. I'm trying to go into hip extension and back to flexion. I would do that 4 times, and then I would reverse it. So I'm in extension, abduction, external rotation, and down. So there's your hip cars. I'm going to start now looking at hip extension with thoracic rotation and get a nice stretch in the lats at the same time. So my fingers are pointing back. I'm going to press down in my feet, and I'm going to come up. I'm reaching across my body, pressing down in that arm, reaching the hips up and down. I'll switch it. I'm up and down. And I'm going to do that 5 times on each side. Okay? So, moving on, I take a seat, and I'm going to go into a 90-90 sit. And so 90-90 meaning 90 degrees, 90 degrees. What's important here is that we keep our torso inside the leg, meaning I don't want to drop down here through the ribs. So I'm going to use my supporting arm to help keep me vertical and inside that leg. And then I'll just bring my body forward as far as I can. All right, now, here's the fun part. I'm thinking of pressing this knee down into the ground, and I'm going to lift that knee up, still pressing down, and I'm going to rotate into this bear sit, and I'm thinking of pulling the heels towards my hips, really so it's down and in, and I'm lengthening my spine. And now I'm going to rotate. I'm trying to resist with this leg as this knee is coming down, and there we are. And then of course, we'll return to the other direction. So I lift, I'm resisting, I lift, I'm pulling in, I'm nice and long, and up and over. All right, and now we're done with the floor, and we rise. First thing we're gonna do, standing up, is roll down. So I'm gonna roll down through the spine. My arms are just hanging, my head is hanging. I get to the floor, and now I'm gonna walk out to a plank position with the legs staying straight the whole time. Again, with the shoulders, I'm thinking of protracting and depressing the shoulders. And now, I'm going to lift one leg, and lift one leg. I'm gonna walk back. Again, straight legs, all the way back. Roll through the spine. And now I'm gonna just thrust the hips forward. So, this is not a cambre, it's not a high release. Really, we're bringing the hips forward, and up. And I would repeat that. So, I've done my roll down to the plank. I'm gonna roll down one more time. with the straight legs. And now I'm going to step forward, so I'm in a long lunge. I'm going to rotate the spine, and I'm going to try to thread these fingers underneath the arm. I like to call it listening for earthworms. So from this up, I'll say, what are the earthworms talking about? And come back up. And then I'll bring the other arm down and rotate and through. From here, you're just going to do 10 body weight squats. Done our squats, lateral lunges. I'm just sitting back and coming up and back. Then you can just stay low and go just straight side to side. If anybody remembers how a typewriter works, right? Now, the single leg deadlift. So, we want to remember that this isn't a workout, right? This is just priming the muscles to work. So, when we're doing all of these exercises, we want to find a range. And usually 5 to 10, you're just getting things, you know, moving, but we're not moving into a fatigue place. Right? Once you've done the single leg deadlift, if you're feeling particularly spry, you can combine the single leg deadlift and a hip card. So, we'll go down. Coming up, I'll go into external rotation, internal rotation, going down, and I'll just repeat that. And I'll reverse that. Right? So you see what's happening there. Okay, and so now we have a bar that magically appeared, and we're going to do just a few releves, maybe 10, and you can do them parallel, you can do them turned out, whatever you feel like you need. Because what I want to do now is I want to go into a calf stretch. So I'm in this calf stretch, but I'm going to lift my front knee, and I'm really thinking of driving that knee up. You'll notice I'm still with a long leg here. I'm driving that knee, and now keeping it up, I'm going to releve and down, and as I lower, I'm thinking of driving that knee up a little higher. Up and down. So I'll do about 10 to 15 of those, depending on how I feel that day. Now, I'll back up a little bit, and I want to bring this into a more dynamic action. So I'm going to go into a plie, and now I'm actually getting a stretch in the soleus, right, which mimics how we might land from a jump. So, with that back leg long, feeling my soleus stretch, I'm going to drive everything forward and down, forward and down, forward and down. And our final exercise, leg swings. You've all done leg swings. Do however, 10, 16, whatever you need. Now, we're going to add 2 more kinds that are slightly different than what we might do in a dance class. I'm going to cross the center line of my body, and notice I'm flexing my foot, and I'm somewhat internally rotated here. And I'm going to take, it's not a batma, it's a lift. So keeping this internal rotation, I'm going to lift, thinking of lifting that heel. I'm internally rotated, and I'm just going to lift here. And what I'm doing is I'm activating my glute med while opening the inside of the hips, right? So it's not so much, again, it's not a swing, it's a lift. Now, so 10 of those. We're going to add now. Now I want to get into external rotation and a little bit more activation with the legs and actual batma. So I'm going to sit into this hip. Now, to get out of this, right, just by, if I just press here, right, I've got some glute med action happening here, but I want to add a rotational component, right? So I'm into the hip and I'm rotating to get onto the leg. And now we'll just add a batma with that. Rotating, rotate, 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 rotate. And that's it. That's the whole deal. So from the floor all the way through standing. All right, if you have questions, please email me, and please come and let's have a chat about it on August 8th. All right, have a great day, everyone, and thanks for being here.